I spent the weekend chiming in, looking at, and trying to keep up to date with what's happening in the gaming industry. These past few weeks, I've made a lot of statements. Statements like I'm selling off my PlayStation 5, I'm ditching next-gen gaming, which a lot of people had their own thoughts about it. Now, first off, I want you guys to understand something. I'm very self-aware. I understand that all of the philosophical thinking, hyper-introspective thoughts, as well as over-complicated ideas I extrapolate from video games is, well, a little bit extra. But hey, I know that. I get it. I'm just trying to think stuff through and share how I'm feeling with you guys. Now, I'm fully willing and more than happy to eat every word that I've said. I've been wrong before. I've bought and sold multiple consoles over and over again. Not even newer versions, just the same thing again because I made the mistake in selling it. And so this past weekend, we had lots of presentations from pretty much everybody. I thought, well, this is a really good, very good, the Summer Games Fest, a very good idea on what the industry is doing. If I want any sort of peer into the future of my favorite hobby, this is going to be the weekend to do so. So I did just that. I paid attention to it. Now, I didn't sit and watch every single thing live, but I did watch recaps because I wanted to learn as much as I could about what the gaming industry is doing moving forward. Some presentations were phenomenal. Others were not as phenomenal. And I'm going to first and foremost say that when it comes to the future of gaming, holy smokes, it seems like there's a lot of really cool things happening. I mean, a lot of really cool things happening. And for someone like myself who has purchased and sold and repurchased an Xbox multiple times over, if I was just, myself 2 or 3 months ago, I would go out and repurchase an Xbox again. In fact, the thought of selling a PlayStation, I would be like, oh, never mind. I'm not going to do that. There are so many good games coming out. There's so many good things happening. I truly believe that this showcase, this weekend of gaming was spectacular. There were so many awesome releases. The gaming industry as a whole seems like they're going to be doing some really cool things. All controversies aside, all political things that you think shouldn't belong in video games aside, I think that we saw some pretty cool things. And I know that the Xbox showcase, for instance, was one that was received very well with, the confirming of certain franchises, the drop of Gears, at least that they're working on it. There's really no dates there. Along with, maybe some more information on some beloved series that are coming out. Seems like the Xbox showcase did well. In fact, in the Discord, I asked people, what was the thing that stood out to you? What excited you about this showcase? Because I'm going to be honest with you. For me, I had a hard time really locking in my excitement. Now, there is a phrase that my wife and I joke about quite a bit, and it's from Star Wars. And this phrase was one that I think really pertains to the situation that I'm dealing with here. And it's by one of my favorite Jedi of all time. Like, the most underrated character, maybe? I don't know. I don't think a lot of people choose to talk about this Jedi. But it's from Qui-Gon Jinn. He says, your focus will determine your reality. And so, I have been making these kind of wild decisions. So, defined by, some of the audience. The decision to kind of let go of AAA gaming from the PlayStation perspective, sold off my Xbox, deciding not to really invest much money into a gaming PC like I originally anticipated, and to pretty much put all my cards in the Nintendo basket, so to speak. And in doing so, I will be, by definition of the audience, pigeonholing myself into a potentially limiting gaming experience, therefore shortchanging myself when it comes to the whole of gaming, which is a very fair assessment, extremely fair. I'm not going to argue that. 3, we're going with green. How appropriate for Xbox. I don't think that the idea of focusing my attention and where I want to build out my library, right? Before was like Steam is going to be the place, and now I'm like, I'm going to stick to Nintendo stuff. I don't think that you're wrong in thinking that that is somewhat limiting, because it is. Actually, it's intentionally limiting. And I want to express that or explain that more, especially in light of this incredibly exciting weekend of gaming previews and news and things coming out. So first, I want to say this. When it comes to Nintendo as a whole, I've shared my affinity with the franchises that exist there. I am a huge fan of it. I have received plenty of comments saying, why not just allow yourself to game on anything? It's no big deal. We don't care. And I appreciate that kind of sentiment, but here's the real reason. Your focus will determine your reality. My goal in this space is to focus, is to stay in line with something, right? Some would say, it could just be gaming, dude. You don't need to worry so much about it. And that is completely fair. I do agree. It could indeed just be gaming. But for me, my excitement with this very hobby, I am someone who needs to have parameters, discipline, existing lines that I draw in the sand, because it helps me make decisions. I'm a wildly passionate person. As you guys can see online, I am easily convinced based on excitement that something is an incredible idea. And I often jump in headfirst and make decisions just to be disappointed in the end because I put too much stake into what's going on. I don't know if you're like that, but that's me. I understand that. I'm self-aware. I get it. That being said, my decision to focus in the Nintendo space, especially in light of this incredible weekend of releases, is ever more important than it was just last week. When I see stuff like, the new Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, which is exciting, or Avowed even, some of these other big titles that Xbox released some crazy awesome trailers for, I get excited. Something inside me stirs, and I'm like, whoa, it's flashy, it's good, this looks really fun. But I know myself, if I just think for a moment and take a step back, in fact, some of my good friends even know me, I can look at that and be like, yes, Call of Duty seems incredible, this new movement, the music, the sound, the badass nature of it all. Seems like it's gonna finally get me. But then, I find myself still wanting to sit back and spend some time in Animal Crossing, or play some Super Smash Brothers, or even get into some more Super Mario Wonder and really 100% that game. It comes down to my focus and my understanding of myself. While I believe that gaming can be multidimensional, multifaceted, and is really exciting that it can be that as well, myself and the way I want and choose to look at it is from a very certain perspective. I'm not gonna lie, some of this also has to do with specifically YouTube. Now, as a father and a husband, I like to think that I've carved out a very, very specific space here, talking about gaming from the father and husband perspective, balancing the very important things in my life, such as God, family, and relationships, then video games. And for anyone who is uncomfortable by the mentioning of God or my faith, I just want to be overly clear with you. I mention it because it's very important to me. It's the center of my decision making, and it's something that I find to be extremely comforting, as well as it helps me define what truth is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to go about it, but for me, when I'm explaining the importance and the hierarchy of how I look at situations, it would be extremely inappropriate of me to omit my considerations for things in light of my faith. So that's why I mention it regularly and frequently. Continuing into this space, I am making some of these decisions based on YouTube and the way that YouTube works. I am someone who's been in this space for a while. Not an absurdly long time, but a while. And there is an element in this space of consistency, which I am very, very poor at. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't do consistency well. Maybe publishing consistently, but my subject matter does seem to change. I have to make decisions. Now, you guys, I understand. You're gonna be, you don't have to do it. Just bear with me. I have to make decisions in this space based on some sort of consistency in message. It's very clear that I'm a father and a husband. But when it comes to gaming, it's tough. Because as some of you guys have seen in the comments, or some of you yourselves have seen, the idea of me going from a Steam Deck to PC to PlayStation 5 to Xbox and even coming over to Switch and talking about Switch can be somewhat jarring and also upsetting to some people, and even for some alienating, because they don't find that subject matter to be of any interest to them. Well, I have big plans for this space. Big plans for what I want to do with video games. A lot of it does align with the types of games I enjoy playing and the types of communities that I would like to build around those games. I'd be lying to you if I'd say that building a community of first-person shooter games is one that I want to build. No, it's not. It really isn't. Playing through some older, very, very iconic and extremely important titles to some people's foundation of gaming, I just don't find them to be interesting. It's just me. That's something that I've had to learn how to get through and understand in this space. And I think that it pertains to life in general. Understanding yourself and what you find to be exciting. When you say, oh man, gosh, one of my favorite bands is My Chemical Romance, and someone goes, oh, that emo band? I can't take them seriously. Their stuff is so kiddie, it's just so 2007. You have a few options. You have the silent route, where you're just like nodding your head and not saying anything, which is totally fine. You have the laugh it off and try to settle it, be like, oh man, yeah, I guess, yeah, okay, yeah, I see that. Or you have the other one who's like, oh, bummer. No, man, I love them. I love all that stuff. That's good. And to double down on what you enjoy and what you love and what you care about. I didn't have that confidence for the past 2.5 years. And in seeing this weekend of gaming, it showed me something. And also by thinking of Qui-Gon saying, your focus determines your reality. It really did a wonder. It showed me what the future of gaming looks like. What gaming as a whole has in store for us. The exciting things that are coming to us, the value that some of these subscription services will bring us, even though I'm not really a huge fan of them, I can't lie, they look like they are bringing value. What this does is excite me around video games. But I thought, am I someone who will like some of these new things? Am I someone who is looking for new experiences? I'm not. And I realized that this weekend. It was such a great realization, a special one. I'm not looking for the next latest and greatest new experience. I'm not looking for this insane innovation in cinematics and gameplay, like Hellblade 2 or something along those lines. I'm not looking for the new movement patterns you're going to get in Black Ops 6 or the insane new Battle Royale integrations that we're going to get in whatever's next. The new first-person shooter, completely exploding environments game like Finals. I'm not looking for these innovations. I'm a nostalgic gamer. I don't know if that's a term, but if it isn't, hi, JD, the bearded guy, wants to coin it. I'm not looking for the next latest and greatest. Rather, I'm looking for the next iteration of some sort of nostalgic experience. I started gaming in the 90s. I, admittedly, am a sucker for that decade. The 90s and 2000s were my childhood, from the age of 1 all the way through the age of 20. That was 1990, well, I was born in 89. Through my early childhood and high school years, 2007, graduating. Those 17 to 18 years of my life were when I got to play, when responsibility was non-existent. And some would argue that for the next 5 years after that, it was pretty low on the responsibility pole, but whatever. That was when my excitement for this was at its highest. Now coming back to it, I do look at the industry and go, this is cool. Yo, they're doing some crazy awesome things. I can't believe you can do this in games. What an idea. But for me, I've realized something. And this, I don't know if this is going to work on YouTube. And if it doesn't, I chose the wrong avenue. Here's the deal. I like certain things. I really like reliving those things. And I'm looking to maintain that feeling as long as possible. If that means I just stick with the franchises that I fell in love with as a kid and deviate very little from that, that's where I'm at. If I stick to art styles that seem very, very derivative, playing games like Sea of Stars, which is new, but it's pretty much just Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG slapped on a new skin with some fun extra stories. Cool. And I realized that through this, as much as having all of the things feels good and sexy to be able to say I have them all, necessity would dictate otherwise. In fact, focus would completely shift that reality. My focus is on increasing the feeling of nostalgia as much as possible. While I've criticized companies for banking on nostalgia and charging us money for whatever re-releases, I understand that I am their demographic. I do want to play Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door again. I do want to play Ocarina of Time again for the 4th time in a different remaster. I will pay full price for these games, and I won't complain about it. I'm looking forward to playing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD because I never got to play it, and these games are just re-releases. Some would criticize the companies for bankrolling and just remastering and being lazy with it. I am someone who thanks the companies for taking these franchises and keeping them alive. I may be called a fanboy or whatever you want to call me for that, but I don't really care because I do indeed like these things. This weekend showed me something so incredible. In fact, it solidified my decision because I got to see what the future of gaming looked like. I got to see what the industry wants to make this hobby become. And it's so exciting. But I'm okay with leaving a lot of it on the table to just stick to the things that I find to be refreshing. I made a video about how gaming should be refreshing, should be rejuvenating, should help us rest. I don't see some of these newer titles as doing that for me. Sure, could Fable have an incredible story that is unmatched? It very well could have. But I'm not looking to that story for my hobby, I guess my excitement. Rather, I can't wait for the next entry in the Mario franchise or something like that. I know myself. It's clear. I could be playing a game as great as Jedi Survivor, but the second a Nintendo title comes out, that game will die to me. It happened. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Not my favorite Zelda game, not at all. Came out close to Jedi Survivor, and I haven't touched Jedi Survivor since. Some say it's a great game. I am a Star Wars fan, a very big Star Wars fan. But that's just what happens. I'm learning a lot about myself in this hobby, and I'm also learning about the idea of allowing yourself to just enjoy what you enjoy. I will admit the decision to stick to the Nintendo thing is very calculated. Some of you have made comments in the comment section below that I think are very, very accurate. One comment I see a lot is just do what you want, dude. I do want to do this. Another comment is, hey, he's just doing this because the Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out and it's actually a good business move. I definitely have thought of that. Because I can assure you that once the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, it is absolutely, unequivocally, all I will want to use because it is in line with my very interests. This past weekend in gaming, as I've mentioned, I can't overstate how good it was for me to see the future of what we have. Because it excites me even more to, I don't know how to articulate it, to pare down and dive into this idea of gaming minimalism. Of just saying, you know what? I, JD Melnick, just like replaying games of old. And Nintendo, love them or hate them, they just re-release their old games, but it looks different. Mario Odyssey, it's just a combination of Super Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy and Mario Sunshine. That's all it is. And I, for one, love it. I hope that this doesn't come off as weird or odd, but hey, this is where I'm at with it. And I wanted to share that with you because it was such a cool weekend and an exciting thing. I get so excited now when I pick up my Switch, or honestly when I'm playing through Pokemon Fire Red. I keep saying Fire Red, but it's Leaf Green on my XXSP. It's so fun. It's also nice knowing that when I want to sit and play video games, I just have these couple devices that are hosting my games. Whether it's the Switch replaying a title we're playing through, Paper Mario, or playing through Pokemon on the XXSP, or maybe diving into something a little bit bigger, like Sandland on the Steam Deck, I'm set. I made a video kind of telling you what I think is the best combo, and for me, Deck, Nintendo, and emulation device is what I'm using right now. This is my loadout. This is what I'm going to be leaning on for my hobby, and it's because it allows me to explore indies in a handheld fashion that's powerful enough to play them. All right, that's all I have today. Just trying to be as transparent as possible about gaming with you guys. I hope that it comes out that way. Enjoy the rest of your day, and as always,